welcome to Tracy Mommy Reads. I am back again with another video. Today, wait, before we get started, listen, I washed my hair and the shrinkage is real. I'm having a day, okay? So we just don't worry about that because that's not what you came here for anyway. What I'm going to be talking about today. So listen, one of the first books I ever talked about on my channel was The Silent Patient. And at the time, it was hella popular. You know, everybody was reading it. It was, had just came out maybe a month or two before, or maybe a few months. I don't know. Maybe I was late to the party. But there was a lot of chatter around it. And that chatter has not died down. People still, say it's one of their favorite books. It is a book that got me really into reading suspense novels. I will tell you that, because I just refused to think that I could be bamboozled and fooled again by these authors. So I went down this rabbit hole because that wasn't really a genre that I gravitated towards, in the past. But I will say, as much as I adore that book, and it is one of my favorites also, there are a lot of other books out there that I feel like in the same genre that pack just a big of a punch and a big of a surprise and big of a twist. I mean, the authors in that genre, the majority of them, they do really well at giving you red herrings and things like that to put you off the scent or the trail of something or someone that has been in your face the entire time. And if you're gonna trick me, hey, you better have my jaw dropped open. It better be plausible. You can't just be introducing random characters at the end that we knew nothing about. And I think that's kind of where some authors in that genre fail, because hello, we want to be surprised, but we don't want you to, take advantage of our intelligence or think that we're not smart enough to figure out you're just throwing some shit in there that makes no sense. So today I'm going to go through 5 books that I think have twists that are on par with The Silent Patient, twists that I never saw coming and that had me going, oh, for real? Are you serious? So here we go. We're going to start with the first book on the list, and that book is My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. My Lovely Wife. Now, early on in this book, you already know what's going on. It's a couple, and they kill together. So, they find unsuspecting people, and they set up these elaborate ruses and schemes and plans to unalive folks, right? But yeah, when the twist comes and it's like, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it for anybody that may be wanting to read it. But sometimes, what's that saying? And I don't know if it's from Scream or if Scream used that, and it came from another horror movie. That's not my genre. I don't really watch a lot of horror movies to know the lore. But let's just say with My Lovely Wife, it's very much giving the call is coming from inside the house. Okay? And that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, I feel like the build-up was really good, and it early on, in the story, like I said, what's happening with this couple, but then it takes a turn. And I will tell you, in the blurb, and I feel like this is the perfect description of this book. It says Dexter meets Mr. and Mrs. Smith in this wildly compulsive debut thriller about a couple whose 15-year marriage has finally gotten too interesting. So do with that what you will, but I would definitely recommend My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing if you are looking for something that is going to keep you turning pages and have you shocked at how things all pan out. Okay, next up, and I've seen like, and all of these books, again, this is my opinion, my channel, my thoughts. Some people may feel like, no, they're not on the same level. And obviously, everybody has their own writing style. Everybody has different, taste or opinions. But I'm just saying, for me, I found them just as good and maybe a couple even better than The Silent Patient. So let's proceed. Because this one, I've seen the girls getting a little tizzy in this one, online or whatever. And it's The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. The Paris Apartment. And this one, oh my God. So let me start by telling y'all what it's about, and then I'll tell you why it pulled me in. So this one is about a woman who goes to Paris to visit her brother. She's having a rough go of it, and she just needs to get away and just leave all her worries behind. But when she gets to Paris, to her brother's apartments, he's not there. Yeah. And she feels like there's foul play in him, because he knew she was coming and he wouldn't have left, without at least telling her what was up. So she is on a mission to find him and find out what happened to him. And the people in his apartment building, they are sus as hell, okay? All of them are creepy, and you just know somebody had something to do with wherever her brother is, or whatever happened to him. And so for me, I felt like it kept you on edge, because you were like going through this thing with the main character, and I think her name was Jess. You are looking for her brother too. You're like, what happened? And we get a flashback. We get a few flashbacks as to how everyone in the apartment like had some dealings with her brother, so everybody becomes a suspect. So the thing about this one, unlike with the because here's the thing, let me back up. The thing, like I said, about the Silent Patient being in your face the whole time. Same thing with My Lovely Wife, in your face the whole time. This one, it wasn't so much in your face the whole time. I mean, it was-ish, but how it ended and the twist with that ending was like, oh, are you kidding me? We're looking everywhere, okay? And once again, the call is coming from inside the house. So do again with that what you will. But again, The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I really enjoyed this one. I think this was like my second book by her. The first book was The Guest List, and I enjoyed this one much better, where, I've talked to people who it was the opposite for them. But, to each his own. Okay, let's see. What else? Okay, next up, All Her Little Secrets by Wanda M. Morris. All Her Little Secrets. And I'll read again from the blurb. Like, this is like, I think, what do they call it? Like, people who do the reviews on the books, the publishers or the journalists or whatever. I'm going to read their thing, because it's a lot more succinct than going through the whole entire summary. It says, in this fast-paced thriller, Wanda M. Morris crafts a twisty mystery about a black lawyer who gets caught in a dangerous conspiracy after the sudden death of her boss. And, they go on to say this is the perfect debut for fans of, different authors in that same genre. But yeah, that's basically what has happened. This black woman, she's from a small town, and, it's like small town, small country miles to the big city, right? She's overcome some things in her past and gotten her education, and now she's flourishing, and she's in the city living the life, and her boss gets killed. And the thing about this story that I thought was kind of on par with The Silent Patient. The boss is killed, right? And she was somewhat, I guess, maybe his protege. So with him dead, she is in line for his job. So she becomes the suspect, the number one suspect in the investigation, just like the wife in The Silent Patient. You know, her husband gets killed and they like, you did it, you know. So she's basically, you know, racing this clock to try to prove that it wasn't her, and to really solve, you know, who actually killed, you know, her boss. And there were like a lot of twists and turns in this one, especially as we get more of the main character's backstory from her small town and what made her really want to leave there and why she got into law and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and then as she goes on this journey, you know, trying to not only exonerate herself but find out what happened to her boss, all kinds of secrets starts coming out about the firm, about some of their clients. But in the craziest twist, like her past and the present, like there's this interconnectivity. There's this connective tissue that we find out about. And that to me, you know, had my mouth open like, what? And, you know, for every action, there's a consequence. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So yeah, if you like, you know, stories that have not only obviously the mystery, suspense and thriller pieces, but that are kind of rooted in conspiracy theories, that are rooted in, like, you know, have a backdrop of like a law, you know, like dealing with a law office and their clients and all the things that, how those mechanisms work, then I think that All Her Little Secrets by Wanda M. Morris would definitely be one you want to check out. Okay. All right, moving right along. Okay, now this is one I actually read more recently, you know, like earlier this year. And it's called The Best Lies by David Ellis. The Best Lies, or maybe at the end of last year, I can't remember. But I did a review on the channel. All the books I'm talking about, I did reviews on, but the other ones, they're much, much older. This is the most recent one, like I said. And I've read a couple of books by David Ellis, and he does not disappoint. But this one right here, it was, listen, the way that this man left us all these breadcrumbs. See, for me, with The Silent Patient, I guess because I had no idea what to expect, I didn't know what I was looking for. You know, it wasn't until after the twist happened that I went back, flipping back through the book, and I saw the breadcrumbs, right? I wasn't following them at first. You know, the breadcrumbs are here, and I'm just like, you know, looking straight ahead, not paying attention to the periphery. Well, with this one, the author makes sure that you are getting all of these things. But as the reader, you're like, why are you telling me that? And so it's almost the exact opposite, you know, where in The Silent Patient, the author was giving it to us, but he was more like, focus on this, focus on this. But in this particular book, The Best Lies, the author is giving you all this stuff like, focus on this, but you're like, no, I want to focus here. So in the story itself, there is this attorney. There was an attorney in the last book, but there's this attorney who has a very shady past, okay? A very shady past. And one of the things that makes him such a good attorney is that he's like a pathological liar. Like he lies so well that you don't know as the reader if he's telling the truth. I don't think he knows if he's telling the truth, but it just comes so effortlessly and so easy that it has, you know, helped him throughout his life and his career. Well, at the start of the book, like, he is being arrested for a murder, and we start getting back chapters. Like the author gives us flashbacks that from like the time he was a little kid all the way through present day. We're getting these chapters that are building to a twist that is just wild. Okay, everything was just so well executed. Every little thing that you didn't think had a part, you're like, why is he, what is that? That's to throw us off. No, the author is letting the reader know this is going to come back. This is going to come back. And when it does, you're just like, because none of it seems that important. None of it seems to be connected to the other thing. And there was some parts of it where I was totally confused. I mean, I felt like early on when they started doing some of his, backstory, I was like, oh, okay. Okay, so I got that. And it was a piece that was important. But the other pieces, no. It was, not only was a call coming from inside the house, you're on the phone with the person. And you're still not going to see it coming, okay? This one is really good. This was one of my favorites. This must have been last year because I feel like I talked about this. I'm going to have to put some information here or do a separate screen because now it's bothering me and I don't want to stop the video to come back to do all that. But it's worth your time. The Best Lies by David Ellis. Okay, and this is another one that I think people like, tussle about or they don't think is all that great or whatever. But for me, this was one of her better books. And this one is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. My all-time fave by her is Rock, Paper, Scissors, which again, people are like, I liked Rock, Paper, Scissors and Sometimes I Lie way more than I did his and hers. So there we go. Set the scene for you. So anyway, the thing that I liked about Sometimes I Lie is there were dual timelines, right? Dual timelines where we were like in the present, we were in the past. There was so much going on. There were multiple characters. And I will be the first to admit, when they first started happening, I was a little confused. But quickly got over that because I was in for it, for the ride. I'm like, I know this is going to be good. This is going somewhere, right? So I'm just going to read the first part of the blurb. It says, my name is Amber Reynolds. There are 3 things you should know about me. I'm in a coma. My husband doesn't love me anymore. And sometimes I lie. So that's where we get the title. But it says, Amber wakes up in the hospital. She can't move. She can't speak. She can't open her eyes. But she can hear everyone around her and everything that's going on. And from what I remember about this book, like the accident, that's like she's trying to figure out how she got in the hospital. And there was a car accident. And as we're getting, this backstory, this other timeline, and, everything comes forward, it's just crazy where this story goes. Because I was not expecting that. Now, I will tell you, the only thing negative that I have to say about this, and this could be a deal breaker for some people, it's very twisty. It's very engaging. The main mystery of how she got in the hospital, who caused the accident, who all these people are, all of that is solved in this book. It's all solved in this book, and you get all your answers. However, and this isn't a favorite thing of mine in any book, but I feel like this thing aside, the rest of the book makes up for it. At the very, very end of this book, like there's a character that doesn't 100% get dealt with. And I don't like that. I don't like loose ends. I don't like people not getting what they deserve in full. And what I mean by that, so let me just paint a picture. So like, let's say somebody breaks into your house, okay? They break into your house and, you know, they terrorize you and your family and they do all this awful shit. And you find out who it is. You know who it is. The police get involved. The person is maybe arrested, right? You think it's over. The police got him. Maybe the person confessed to the crime. You feel safer. You've changed your locks. You got security. You're going to be a little bit more vigilant. And then one day you go check your mailbox and you got a letter from the person that broke in your house saying, I'm going to see you again. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I've read quite a few books like that where everything was going fine until that happened. And I feel like there's a bit of that, you know, hanging, and sometimes I lie. But I also think it's worth the ride. At first, I thought maybe that was indicative of a sequel, but I don't think that this one has. Oh, you know what? I'm just not looking at this. They said this was her debut. Okay, I thought Alice Finney was around a lot longer than this because this book is not that old. But yeah, finish the book, deal with the people, unless it is supposed to be a cliffhanger and you're writing another book, you know, or maybe you're just leaving it open for this character to come back. I don't know. That's the only thing I didn't like about it. But everything else, loved it. So yeah, that's Sometimes I Lie by Alice Finney. So yeah, I have read several books that, you know, I felt like were 4 stars, 5 stars, 4.5 stars or whatever in the mystery, suspense, thriller genre. But some of them that like they're their own thing, you know, like I Kill Killers, that whole trilogy. Ate it up, right? But I wouldn't compare that really to something like a Silent Patient, because that's more the subgenre, I guess, of like serial killers or Dexter type people or whatever that are actually doing the world a service. They're like vigilantes, okay? But I feel like with the Silent Patient, it's such a psychological thing, right? Not only the story itself, but for the reader, you know. I personally feel like the 5 books that I mentioned today are similar in that vein. So again, if you like The Silent Patient, I think that you would really vibe with these books. So y'all let me know what you think. Have you read any of the books that I mentioned? Am I way off, or do you get kind of where I'm going with this? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video and be sure to share it with someone who is maybe looking for book recommendations, someone who you think might like my videos, you know, and all of that. I sincerely appreciate everyone who is already subscribed. And go ahead if you haven't and just, you know, click that post notification bell so that you can be notified when I have new content come out. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.